Stacey Hines, welcome to the Balanced Beautiful Abundance Show.
I'm so happy to be here, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me.
It is so awesome that we are connecting on Zoom and you're in Jamaica and I'm in Los Angeles. That is so cool.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And it's so great to feel energy even when you're not in the same space. I think that's really one of the most powerful things I've been able to experience since COVID is just connecting, really connecting through a virtual medium. Yeah.
Yes, and I can feel that the energy of this interview is going to be magical. So if you're just tuning in, make sure you stay for the whole thing. Let me
Yes.
tell you a little bit about Stacey Hines. She is an executive and business coach who went through a life collapse that transformed her. Her teachings are based on the power of intention. She believes the secret behind creating her dream life is connected to choosing how she deliberately focuses her mind. Her book, 5 Year Love Affair, is a 5-star rated book on Amazon. So let's get right into it, Stacey. Tell us about how you overcame cancer, mental illness, and divorce, all while raising 3 young children.
Wow. Well, it's been an interesting and challenging and sometimes, it felt defeating journey.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of all of that, I would say that it has also been quite magical. I've had many moments to marvel at. And ultimately, I really believe that my life collapse was my way of accessing my greatness.
Mm,
Makes sense. And
yeah.
I just to be clear, guys, like I'm not like thinking I'm the greatest one on earth, right? I mean that not from an ego perspective, but just my authentic power, what's within each of us that we come to earth with, that soulful, purposeful space that we occupy inside our bodies. I was really fully able to access that through my challenging life experiences. So right around 2010, I was in the midst of going through a separation. Literally, it was Christmas Day that I actually asked for a divorce because we were having an argument and it just was, like when you have that kind of straw that breaks your back
Yep.
experience. Yeah, had one of those moments. And at the same time, I was also in the midst of having to relocate um, my company that I was working with. I was a VP at the time, having to relocate them to Canada. And while all of this was going on, my daughter at the time was 2 years old. My youngest was 2 years old. And I had an almost 6 year old and an 11-year-old son. And about 3 months after my initial request for separation, I found out that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Mm,
I was stage 2 and it was an aggressive cancer. And so they wanted me to have surgery pretty immediately, like within 4 weeks, they wanted me to have a mastectomy. And it was a very shocking kind of experience to get that news, because I'm a
yeah.
boss lady. Like I'm busy over here. I got a company to move. I got kids to
Right.
take care of on my own. Like I don't have time to get sick, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I went into that feeling very much like my get it done self, still not connecting to me. And I think it really took me taking significant risks with my health, like drinking my pee to stay alive, trying uropathy, and going on herbal drink diets and just exploring things that I thought were just crazy because I was so afraid of dying,
Mm-hmm.
And when I was going through all of that, I just wasn't realizing that every aspect of my life was in change and not just simple change, but the things that people have one thing happen and they have to get therapy, right? And I had like a mega trifecta
Wow.
happen, you know? So I had to spend some time away from my kids as I was going through my treatment. I went back home to Atlanta. So I was in Atlanta for several months working with a nutritionist healer there. And he basically cooked for me for several months. I was liquid vegan during that time,
Wow.
and did that while I was doing my radiation treatment. And I opted out of chemotherapy because I was just deathly afraid of all of the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think I was prepared for the side effects of radiation, though, even those showed up later on. But during that time, I really started to tap into who I was truly. Like I started to ask myself the question, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
um, what is all of this for? All of this work and all of this, the different goals and tasks that I'm taking on, what is all of it for? And many times the answer came back to, my kids and wanting to do and be and give for them. It took me a couple of years to really tap into needing to be doing life for myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Wow.
so um, all of the different changes is eventually led me into a state of clinical depression and anxiety. And I had to, well, I didn't seek help on my own, actually. How that part of things came in is one of my doctors, because, when you're sick with cancer, you have all these different kinds of doctors. One of my doctors one day just gave me a referral and said, I think you need to see this doctor. And I was like, well, it's just to talk to make sure that you're doing okay. And when I showed up for the appointment, she was like, well, um, I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm here to assess whether or not we are going to be putting you in the psych ward or putting you on medication. And I
Wow.
was like, what? I said, no, lady, this is the wrong person you have. This is no, I think wrong appointment, wrong, and
Oh.
so essentially, I guess I had been showing signs, maybe they know what questions to ask and just wasn't aware. But I was showing signs that I needed to be seeing a psychiatrist. And after the first conversation, I shared with her that I really thought we could approach the old school method. Let's try the Freudian way. Let's talk it out.
Yeah.
And if you're not seeing any progress, then we can explore, medication. Eventually, I did have to take some pills specifically because I wasn't sleeping. And
Mm.
so my healing was actually taking longer. I thought it was a badge of honor not sleeping. I'm working hard. I'm
Right.
on homes. But I quickly learned that sleep was actually really essential to my healing, both for my physical health and my mental health.
Mm.
And it took me about, I would say, 5 years to really step from. So between 2010 and 2015, I really started to do the work of getting to know me and determining, how do I want to show up in this world. And out of that journey, I landed into, okay, well, let's write this story. Let's do the 5-year love affair thing and make it available to other women who may be out there struggling and suffering and not having the conversation, because we don't always talk about this stuff, which we really
Yeah.
need to, you know and that led to lots of other things. Now my wellness company and just products that are coming out of that. So yeah, that's how we're here.
That is quite a story.
Yes.
So, how can women go from, just getting by, on the grind, wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor, like you said, to feeling the joy of life that you describe in your book? What are
Hmm.
some quick hacks for them to go to like change paradigms?
Yeah. Oh, I love quick hacks. I talk about hacks all the time. And one of the first things that I would say is a quick hack is setting up yourself every day for your day. And I
Mm.
know people talk about morning routines. If you're following any kind of coaching program, you're talking to Rebecca, you know that morning routines are a thing. But guys, let me tell you, if no other hack is the simplest and the most scientifically proven to work, it is resetting yourself every morning. That's the
Mm.
first one. And it doesn't have to be, sitting in meditation for half an hour and then working out for another hour and then, because we get panicked about, oh my God, all the time, right? You
Right.
can literally start off with 5 minutes of being quiet. So when you wake up, don't pick up the phone. Even if your alarm is on your phone, hit stop, don't pick it up. Go into quiet mode, right, for yourself, your thoughts are going to immediately start racing to what they remember. And usually it's like the crap from the day before, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to immediately start racing to that. And you can then, in that moment, set your intention for the day ahead. Whether it is, you have a thought that you self create, you say, I need a positive intention for the day. It could be ease, it could be peace of mind, it could be just, effortlessness, or it could even be productivity. Whatever you're feeling in your gut, because you've just woken up, you'll be pulling from the space that allows you to create first, right? And of course, my intention cards are a great way to hack that process, right? So I have these intention cards that are daily affirmation cards for women. And what I do is I say, pull a card every morning. You can't bother to be silent, no problem. Just roll over. And even if you don't have intention cards, get affirmation cards.
Yeah.
If you have a book of quotes, whatever, just pull on something. One thing that I'm doing now, which is also a great hack, I actually have something pasted on my ceiling.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. So when I wake up in the morning, when I open my eyes, that's the first thing
What
I
does
see.
it say?
Well, right now it's actually about money. So it's about creating epic abundance. So
Yes.
every day is create epic abundance, right?
You open your eyes, it's on your
Yeah,
ceiling.
it's right there. And before I go to my bed at night, it's right there. And so what that does for me is it helps me with, even before I go to sleep, it's like, okay, this is where you want your mindset to be, like that. So that's like maybe two hats, rolled all up into, but that morning, that setting up yourself is really key. Another hack that I have for pivoting in the middle of your day, because that's usually when, stuff just goes downhill, right? You kind
Right.
of maybe have read that email or gotten that phone call or had that interaction with that colleague or work from home with the kids running crazy, right?
Yeah.
Is to take a nap.
Oh, I love naps. Naps and sleep are the best.
Take a nap. You know why? Because taking a nap is like your natural reset. It's literally like you get to start over, do over. You get to start over and think about, resetting that same scientific process, guys. Like it works, nonstop works. And there are other things you can do, like write things on your mirror in your bathroom. So when you go into your bathroom, you have reminders. My thing is, guys, the way hacks work is they have to interrupt your natural way of being, your natural way of thinking.
Mm,
Otherwise, it's not a hack. If it's something you have to actually try to do, it's not a hack, right? You want interruptive things that are going to steer you in a positive direction, because otherwise, your brain is programmed to do certain things, think certain things whenever stuff happens, right?
yeah,
So,
I agree. I mean, as you know, science has proven our brain is full of highways, and there's some highways that are just like 8 lane, paved, rest stops every 5 feet. Those are some old negative habits. And if we want to repave new highways, we have to literally pull the car off that, finally the road that gets all the action and say, no, we're gonna look up at the ceiling today and manifest epic abundance. So
yeah.
I love it. It's an interruption. That's a great distinction. So, who is a balanced lady boss? Tell us about your avatar.
Oh my gosh, my balance. I love my avatar, right? And I believe I actually did quite a bit of work. I actually did a workshop where we did a whole meditation around identifying your soul client. And so Balanced Lady Boss emerged out of this experience of really getting clear on who it was. At first, I thought she was me. And in many ways, she kind of is. I wanted to create uh, a change mission of sorts to support women who were experiencing a similar type of life the way I was experiencing it.
Mm-hmm.
So my balanced lady boss is a woman who is high performer, goal achieving or goal striving person who is on a path to success. And that can look like anything from, being a boss mom and, running a side hustle, or just boss momming it, trying to navigate the space that you're in with your family, to a founder of a startup in the space of being an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, where the percentages are so low for our success,
Mhm.
all the way to an executive, a C-suite executive, who has either her own company that's already thriving, or is working in a high performance, high expectation, that is seeking ways to achieve success while avoiding overwhelm, sickness, and toxic relationships.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
What are they trying to avoid? Overwhelm,
Overwhelm, sickness.
sickness, and toxic relationships.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Those, I have had experience with all of them, and I'm not going back. So that's beautiful to help women get away from those.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean to you? I know you just said you work with a lot of leaders, founders, and C-suite executives. What does it mean to you to lead with intention?
Mm. So the concept of intention, I think we should start with that, right? The concept of intention is something I became more intimately involved with when I read Oprah's book, What I Know for Sure.
Mm,
And that book was really a compilation of several articles from the O magazine. And in it, she talks about her experience of intention, which came through a relationship with Gary Zukav and his book, Seed of the Soul. So she fell in love with the concept of intention, which is essentially the why behind your why. It's that subconscious thing that drives your thoughts and your actions, your words, your language, like all of it. It is the subconscious thing that drives all of that. And so she actually attributes discovering the power of intention to her success, because she came to know it in 1985, and she feels she changed her show at that point, and she really feels that that is when she took a turn towards the epic success that she became. And even now with OWN and all of that, she attributes that to the basis of intentioning, right? And so I read this book and I just got slightly obsessed with the concept of intentioning. And I really understood that I am the creator of my life experience. And I do that through really being clear around what my subconscious is intending for myself every single day. And the more aware, the more self aware I become about what I'm intending, the more I can focus that energy in a particular direction. Most times when we want something, right? We actually think about what we don't want.
mm-hmm.
So, I want love, Valentine's Day is coming up. I really want to have an epic love experience. I want the most romantic partner. That's what you want. And you start with that. But then in the next couple of minutes, it's like, I really don't want him to be, broke, or I really don't want him to not be able to take care of me and kids. I really don't want him to be lazy. Oh gosh, I don't want him to be abusive. And so that's how our brains just start to protect us almost from what we intend. And then we end up focusing on the things we don't want, which become the intention. And then you attract to your life what you're actually intending versus what the original intention was. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, because women are like, oh, I don't want to get my heart broken again. I don't want to go out with another narcissist. And then
Yes,
they get another narcissist and they get
yes,
their heart broken again. And they don't
yes,
know, why do I keep attracting the same guy? I'm so clear on what I want. But
yes,
then the second tape is they think about what they don't want. So how
yes.
do they shift? How do they get rid of the I don't want and turn those into what I want?
Yes, so so that's where it comes in when you talk about what does leading with intention mean. Leading with intention is taking every area of your life and being aware of
Mm-hmm.
when you are choosing to focus on what you don't want, or the things that don't make you feel good,
Mm.
versus focusing on what you do want. So it does take some practice, but you can also be intentional about being well intentioned, right? So leading with intention is if you're taking it, so we focus on three areas in the Balanced Lady Boss program. We focus on boardroom, bedroom, and bliss, right? So if you're being intentional and leading with intention in the boardroom, then you're not just going to start your day without, looking at your calendar to see what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And then setting your mind around what you want for the day. Most times I used to just roll out of bed and be like, okay, this is what I have going on today. And you're on the email and you're on the messages, right? No, you have the opportunity and the ability. It's your life. You can create space for yourself to intend the day you want to have, to set the intention around, I want to be on purpose with my progress today. And you can feel that in your gut, you can actually feel it. And what that means is, I want to be on time for my meetings. I want to be prepared for my meetings. And surprisingly, you'll start to attract that kind of experience into your day. And you can do something that Abraham Hicks calls segment intending.
I love that. Yes, I was going to ask you if you segment intent all day or just have a general
Yeah.
overall intention for your day. Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about segment intending. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
So you can segment intent. So for instance, I'm coming on to have this experience with you, right before I connect, I'm like, oh, I want to have a really vibesy conversation with Rebecca today. And that's my intention, right? And I don't have enough time to start thinking about all the things that could go wrong with Facebook and Zoom and all the rest of the stuff. I don't have time for that because I've already set an intention about having a vibesy experience.
Yes.
Right? So you can, before you step into a room where you have an interview or where you have a difficult client or you have to let go of a colleague, you can literally choose in the moment before that next segment where you're interacting with other people, this is how you want that experience to be for you.
Yes, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's go back to those three sexy things. So women can be a balanced lady boss in the
Boardroom.
bedroom, the
Yeah.
boardroom, and in their bliss. So I understand the boardroom.
Boardroom.
That's boring. How can they be a balance? This is R rated now. So if your children are listening, put something over their ears. We're going to R rating.
Yeah.
How can they be a balanced lady boss in the bedroom? I'm curious.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm so excited about that because we're actually focusing quite a bit on bedroom this month in February. So in the bedroom, it's all about seeking to really have a delicious, satisfying experience with your love partner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bedroom does actually cover all intimate relationships. So intimate relationships with a love partner, intimate relationship with your children. So anything that, people talk about conversations you have in the bedroom where you don't have anywhere else, right? It's
Right.
your most vulnerable space. You talk about your body, and how you want your body to feel and the experience you want your body to have, and really allowing yourself to access satisfaction at every single level, all from your mind, your soul, physically, and everything in between. It's the space where we really get clear on what you desire to have in your love partnership. It's all about the sex and making sure you are actually having satisfying sex. I didn't realize how many women in my avatar either aren't having sex. If they're having it, it's more obligatory than pleasure, right? And definitely not even introducing having sex with themselves. So I did a whole podcast episode on with us, the CEO of a chain of sexual wellness stores called Lovers. And we were talking about masturbation and about that being, the way that women relate to themselves sexually is the ultimate truth, because it's where you are most secretive, So bedroom focuses on bringing out the best for yourself in that entire space. And it's my favorite space in the entire series.
That is beautiful. So do you tell your clients to wear lingerie?
Oh my gosh, like, hello, of course. Like, I mean, wear your lingerie, like feel pretty every single day, every single opportunity you get, be sexy for yourself, like just that whole concept of sexual and sensual energy being a great thing for you to use to boost your productivity. Let me tell you, girl, We get like, yeah, it's
You,
there's a whole
you
lot.
can wear lingerie whether you have a Valentine or not.
Yeah,
You can do it just to hang out in the bedroom and feel
yeah,
sexy and,
yeah,
get in
yeah.
touch with your own bad self. So
Yes.
let's talk about bliss. How
Okay,
do you
so
become a balanced lady boss in the area of bliss? And how is that different than the bedroom?
yes. So bliss is actually everything that has to do with lifestyle. So that's where your health and wellness comes in. So we talk about everything that has to do with self-love and self-care and finding your bliss. Like what is it that allows you to access this space where you literally feel blissful, even if it's in a 5 minute window? You know, for some people, like I remember watching an interview with Oprah where she talked about creating bliss for herself. She didn't use the word bliss, but she has a 4 o'clock thing that she does every day where she drinks chai tea lattes. And that for her, it like literally gives her a complete escape and a reset. It may take her like 15 minutes, but that's a bliss moment. And
Hmm.
I'm sure that by allowing that little bit of space, she's also in her mind creating access to more creativity and allowing more, productivity to arise in her. So bliss is everything to do with those moments, whether it's a spa day or a bath. Like I just need a bubble bath. Just give me some time in the bathtub. When you have children, having a bath is like a blessing. Okay. Whether it's that or it's something more focused like your fitness regime, or if you're doing yoga, like I'm a yogi, I love my yoga, and I'm
Me
now
too.
doing pilates. So it's that stuff as well, allowing you to access your bliss. And we're actually working on doing a retreat, a bliss retreat, for the Balanced Lady Boss community here, in Jamaica at the end of the year. Despite COVID, we're going to do a small gathering just so that women can learn to access their bliss. Because for so many of us, we're just like going,
Hmm.
and we don't know how to tap into that part of us that is yearning for an escape, just wanting, thirsty for relax and retreat, so we're going to do something around that. Yeah.
Well, God willing, we'll all be vaccinated by the end of the year, right? I mean, I'm planning to get married on December 21st, so I am hoping that everybody's vaccinated and can come to my wedding on 12/21/21. So I'm super excited about that. So, what does conscious leadership look like to you?
Oh, conscious leadership. So, conscious leadership is actually one of the methodologies that I use in my corporate training programs. And also, when I'm working with a leadership person, like a leadership executive, it's one of the principles that I teach. And conscious leadership for me is really about leading from a place of self awareness and intentioning. It allows you to truly access your zone of genius, what you're really, really good at, the place where you play at work that keeps you lit up, keeps you passion filled and feeling innovative and on purpose while you're at work. It doesn't have to be, oh, this is work, and then you have a hobby that makes you feel good. You can have that experience in your work life, and conscious leadership is a way to teach yourself or to learn principles to allow you to access that on a more consistent basis. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, what if a woman is the CEO or a manager and she absolutely hates her job? Do
Yeah.
you teach her how to find her happiness at work, or do you tell her to start a passion project as her side hustle that she can actually find her passion and her bliss in life in that side project?
Yeah. Well, actually, what happens is we learn first how to find your passion,
Hmm.
because a lot of times when we're miserable at work, because I've been through the miserable at work, and it's really about you, right? So,
Right.
so sometimes you're miserable at work because it's really hard for you to identify what is your passion space. Where am I leading from intuition and joy, right? And so we focus on that first, and then we determine whether or not you're able to access it at work, or if you really need something on the side to access it, or maybe you need a different job altogether,
Hmm.
right? And then we create a roadmap now for how to get to that place of accessing passion, whether in this job, another one, or with a passion project.
I love that work and play don't have to be separate. You can
No,
play at work. You can
yes,
actually have fun. And I think being playful is so high vibe and
yes.
it creates a lot of abundance because people, clients, customers, they're attracted to that playful, fun energy.
Yeah, and it actually is something that's really underrated. And I think because of more traditional leadership training, like when you go to Harvard or Columbia, you're not learning about play in the boardroom, right? So they don't really teach you about being in business school. They teach you about doing. And so the Balanced Lady Boss program is really a lot around that beingness side, you know? So we take you out of the human doing and put you more in the human being space. And that allows you to access play and allows you to access passion and purpose and creativity, which, by the way, your whole creativity space is connected to your sacral chakra, which is all about that sexual energy side of you. So if you're disconnecting that from yourself completely, then it's going to be even more challenging to access play when you're at work because you're making it be two separate things, right?
And
So,
how are money and sex connected, in your opinion?
well,
Since
interestingly
we
enough,
are R, since we did shift to R rated, we might as well stay there and earn our rating.
yeah, well, actually, how I view it is that sexual energy or love energy, if we take it up a level, and money energy kind of have a similar type of flow,
Mm,
right? It is understanding that it is energetic first. People still see money as very much a tangible thing first. That
mhm.
was one of the areas that I had to work the hardest in, is really separating myself from scarcity mentality because it was through accessing more abundance energy that I was able to access more love and more pleasure in the space of sex and and my sexual experiences. So money is the same thing. If you are able to open yourself up to the abundance that exists outside of the tangible thing, you
Mhm.
will then be able to have more flow. It's the whole thing. All of it is about flow, right? Great
Yes,
comes when you're in flow. That's how women work.
it's
So,
about being in flow state and not resisting and
yep,
trusting the divine goodness of the universe.
yep.
Absolutely. So, this is the last question. What does it mean operating in your zone of genius?
Oh gosh, I love Zona Genius. So I did mention it a little bit briefly, but
Yeah.
you essentially have four zones that you operate in. And the more you connect to the conscious part of yourself, the higher you are in your zones. So let's start at the base. So at the lowest level is your zone of incompetence.
Mhm.
This is where you just feel like you haven't got a clue, you're not sure, you're not good enough, you have no confidence or assertiveness. You just, that I suck in this space. And you feel it, you kind of know it, everything that you do shows up that way, etc. Then you have your zone of competence. And this is where maybe you went to school and you learned it. Like sometimes you go to school for tech and you took a finance class. So, yeah, I get the basics. I understand the basic things I'm supposed to understand. But you wouldn't necessarily want to spend your day doing that job,
Mhm.
right? So you understand that you're competent, but it's not necessarily where you shine.
Mhm.
Then you have your zone of excellence. And your zone of excellence is oftentimes where people actually mistake excellence for genius because that's where you rock. And for many persons, they've actually gone into careers that are aligned with their excellence, and
Mhm.
then they find their genius and they're like, oh my God, how do I leave being a doctor to go making candy? You know, like that's what it is. But your zone of excellence, a lot of times, is what you've gone to school for. Maybe you have a master's or a PhD degree, and maybe that's what's gotten you promoted a gazillion times. You're earning a great deal of money for it. And on some level, it gives you great pleasure. But your zone of genius, you literally could do this in your sleep. They don't even have to pay you. It is where you are high flying, feeling like magic happens when you touch this particular thing. And interestingly enough, my zone of excellence was always tech, and then became marketing, and then became strategy. But my zone of genius is epic intentions. It's
Beautiful.
all things cards and affirmation setting, and I'm working on a journal now, and it's just it's all things balanced lady boss is
Beautiful.
where my genius lies. So you guys, what you should do is you should write down the four zones and then see where you feel you're spending most of your time in work, which one of those zones it falls into. And if you can, when you look at zone of genius, think about what the things that you do that bring you joy at a level so deep that you can literally feel your heart swelling when you're in that space. Write those things down and find ways to do more of that.
What if your zone of genius doesn't bring in money? Then you create a business around it, or how do you work that
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. So that's actually what I'm in the process of doing now. And what I find is that a lot of people with coaching oftentimes is in their zone of genius, right? And so what happens is you start off by just adding value and supporting other people because it's a passion project. So you're not going to feel like it's robbing you of anything, right? And then you see where you're getting asked to do more and more. Where are people reaching out to you, pulling on you, calling you, and you start to attach a value to that,
Mm.
right? It can be a value for your service, or like me, you can actually build a product that goes along with it and sell it. You could write a book about your zone of genius. If you don't necessarily want to make it like something you attach money to, write a book about it, self-publish it on Amazon and
Right.
promote that, so yeah, lots of ways.
Amazing. So, what time is it right now in Jamaica
It's 5:52.
in the afternoon?
Yes.
All right. Well, I am so happy you called in from Jamaica, Stacey, Balance Lady Boss. How can people stay in touch with you and learn more about these amazing teachings you just shared?
Oh, I'm so happy to share that. Thank you. So I am on Facebook at I am Stacey Hines, and I'm also on Instagram at I am Stacey Hines as well. And definitely you want to check out my Instagram because I have in my link tree, I have links to my Epic Intention cards as well as my podcast you can listen to on anywhere podcasts are heard: Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, The Balanced Lady Boss Show. So yeah, definitely keep in touch.
And I am so excited to be on your podcast. Yay!
Yes.
All right. Well, if you're listening to this and you're on Facebook, tag a friend, share it on someone's wall. If you're listening to the podcast, rate, review, subscribe, share the link of the podcast with a friend. There were so many incredible nuggets and hacks and tips and tools that Stacey shared with you. So if you know anybody that needs some support, that's burned out, that could benefit by the power of intention, that could benefit from bliss in the bedroom. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want more bliss in the bedroom?
Good.
Share this wonderful podcast interview with Miss Stacey Hines. And thank you again, Stacey, for being on the Balance Beautiful Abundant show. And
Yeah.
we will see you guys next time with another amazing expert. Thanks,
Thank you so
Stacey
much for
Hines.
having me. Thank you.